we have a little clip of Elizabeth Warren announcing her end to her end to the campaign.
So I announced this morning that I am suspending my campaign for president. I say this with a deep sense of gratitude for every single person who got in this fight, every single person who tried on a new idea, every single person who just moved a little in their notion of what a president of the United States should look like. I will not be running for president in 2020, but I guarantee I will stay in the fight for the hardworking folks across this country who've gotten the short end of the stick over and over. That's been the fight of my life, and it will continue to be so.
Senator Warren,
what guidance would you give to your supporters who don't know who to support now?
Well, let's take a deep breath and spend a little time on that. We don't have to decide that this minute.
And I wonder what
Senator
the
Warren
message would be to the women and girls who feel like we're left with two white men to decide between.
I know. One of the hardest parts of this is all those baby promises and all those little girls who are going to have to wait 4 more years. That's going to be hard.
Senator Warren, will you be making an endorsement today? We know that you spoke with both Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders yesterday.
Not today.
Not today.
I need some space around this, and want to take a little time to think a little more.
Now, you heard her say that she was not going to make any announcement of an endorsement, which is I would gather is very frustrating for many people, especially progressives. And I remember saying long time ago. I mean, this was probably 2016 when I initially started saying it, but we know how difficult it is to enact change in this country. And I'm talking about actual change, like real change that impacts the lives of many people across this nation. I'm talking about raising the standard of living in many different areas. We know how hard it is to get things done because of a thing called greed in this country and white supremacy as well. We know how hard it is. If we are going to get some of that done, any of that done, we're going to have to band together. Progressives cannot just split off and just do their own thing. No, there has to be a singular focus, a singular type of pathway forward. So if Elizabeth Warren is the progressive, the strong progressive that she always says that she is, if she is the one that promotes this vision of big structural change, then I would gather that the decision here is relatively easy. It wouldn't take you listening to Bernie Sanders. It wouldn't take you listening to somebody like Joe Biden that doesn't stand for anything that you say that you stand for. So I don't know what type of decision you are pondering. If you want progressivism to win, like she says that she does, then the choice here is clear what you have to do. Because it's bigger than just one candidate. And that is something that we hear from Bernie Sanders routinely. But I think we've heard that from Elizabeth Warren as well. So if the mission is progressivism, if the mission is to transform this nation, if the mission is big structural change, then you can't sit on the sidelines. You have to actually voice your opinions.
Now, that's what Will is saying in regard to what he feels Warren should be doing. Mm-hmm. But Warren tweeted just as much. Warren tweeted just as much. If you're talking about what message Will kind of just sent her way, Warren essentially speaking the same way on her Twitter account. And she tweeted yesterday that I believe in the America that we can build together. Trickle-down economics has been a failure. We need to build an economy from the grassroots up. Now, how do you do that? How do you do that? And I think, like, when it comes to consolidating power in order to, galvanize a movement, galvanize strength for a movement to move forward, to progress. I think it means more now when you look at the consolidation of the centrists. If they didn't do that, right?
Right.
And then Warren drops out and she doesn't endorse. it doesn't look as bad.
Right.
It doesn't look as bad.
We don't have this conversation.
We don't have this conversation. It doesn't look as bad.
Yeah.
But what we saw on Monday was a consolidation of an ideology, a consolidation of people and power that don't want to see the United States move beyond the influence of the wealthy donor class.
Right. That's right. That's right. Now, I condemned them for this choice, but if you kind of just move past it, if you kind of just give it a glance over, you have to kind of like say, man, you did a good job by doing that. That was the right pathway for what you want done in this country. I mean, they knew what had to be done. They had to consolidate.
They knew what had to be done, and they did it.
Now, there has to be a reciprocal move. I mean, there has to be something else besides that, because it can't just be in the center right. Some people say center left, but it can't just be that one consolidated move. There's probably gonna have to be some other consolidating as well if you're adequately going to challenge this newfound power.
She used the term grassroots, right? And based on her performance and the amount of support that she was able to muster, it didn't look like she had grassroots support. If she did, she would have done a lot better. Now, what candidate looks like they had the most grassroots support, considering that they were not taking money from billionaires?
Yeah.
It was Bernie Sanders. If you looked at where his support came from, he had the most support by far than any other candidate from people that are considered the working class, from working class Americans. And like we mention all the time, he had more support from unions than any other candidate combined. That sounds like grassroots to me. So that's where you start. Again, we went over that tweet from a Warren supporter that referred to Bernie Sanders as egotistical. But again, we have a situation where we have a candidate who drops out of the race, while at the same time talking about supporting grassroots movements so we can get to a particular place here. But what it looks like is she's the one who wants to be at the head of that.
Yeah. It seems as though
she's the one who wants to be like leading that. And she can't, well, I'm not saying she can't. She's not. She's not leading it. And I'm not saying she's not leading it because I don't see her leading it. It doesn't even matter what I see or what I perceive. What matters is what kind of support she was able to muster up, what kind of support she actually had. So how I define her as a leader is based on the results.
So it just seems as though at this point in time, it seems as though her personal goals are more important than the goal.
That she says is the goal.
Is the goal. You want to head the mission, but the people didn't want you to head the mission. So when that happens, the mission must continue, though. It's like she hasn't gotten that. Or is she not really in it for the mission?
For the mission.